On the surface, Obi-Wan walks into the now captured Separatist stronghold. He has to step over many dead clones to do this. As he does, he looks down at them and says, "By the Force, I really wish they would just surrender. They were bred for combat, Master Kenobi. Surrender's not a concept they're familiar with. It's right this way." The trooper leads Obi-Wan into a control room and nods to some of the techno guys there that are hacking into the Separatist computers. And they bring up... An eerie silence falls over the room. Who else has seen these files? Just us. Make sure it stays that way until I tell you otherwise. Understood. At Coruscant, news of the Galactic Army succeeding in retaking Naboo has gotten people dancing in the street. This is the first real victory that the Republic has had against the Separatists since the war began. And Chancellor Palpatine is throwing a party in celebration with all the senators and politicians, one of which is Prince Valium. Since the invasion of Alderaan in the first movie, Prince Valium has overseen the welfare of his people as refugees. Most of his people have settled in temporary housing here on Coruscant, and the plight of the Alderaanians in not being able to return home has become somewhat of a rallying cry as to why the Separatists need to be defeated, so that the people of Alderaan can return home. The prince's father took being driven from their homeworld very hard, and he eventually died a broken man, now leaving Valium to take on the mantle of king. However, Valium has repeatedly refused to accept the title of king because he doesn't feel like he can accept it until he is able to return his people to their homeworld. In his mind, only then will he have earned the crown. And since not everyone did succeed in fleeing Alderaan in the first movie, there are still little pockets of people scattered around the planet. So Valium has been working to coordinate these groups into like a mini resistance and a spy network that can send him information from behind enemy lines. In fact, it was through these Alderaan spies that the Republic figured out the importance of gentane in the cloning process. So through this, the prince is kind of getting experience of what it's like to sort of run a rebellion, skills that could be very useful that he could one day pass on to a certain somebody. Also in the room is Count Dooku, who is actually quite different in this version. He's not an ex-Jedi. In fact, he's not a Force user at all. What he is Chancellor Palpatine's political ally. Kind of like this dude in the prequel movies. You know, that dude, he was like in on Palpatine's plan. He wasn't a Sith, but he was a political ally and he was always there. And I guess that makes sense, because Palpatine would need political allies on his side to help him enact all his schemes. So in this version, Count Dooku is his chief ally in politics. In fact, Dooku is basically like the vice president. He's Palpatine's second in command. And through him, Palpatine does a lot of his shady deals. So Palpatine also keeps him around kind of like to be a fall guy. In case the Jedi ever start to catch on to him, he can be like, "Nope, it was Dooku, wasn't me, I had nothing to do with it." Palpatine taps his wine glass with a spoon and silences the lively room, and raises his glass for a toast. "My dear friends, today is a historic day for the Republic, for it is a day that not only we will remember, but our enemies will too. It's a victory made possible by regular citizens of the Republic, regular people who joined the Galactic Army and decided to fight to protect the Republic, not just leaving it up to the Jedi, but decided to take their own fate into their own hands. Because they have a passion for what this glorious Republic stands for. And through that passion, they've gained strength. And through that strength, they've gained power. And through that power, they've gained a victory for us all. A victory that set us free from the chains of tyranny and oppression. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to propose a toast. Through victory, may our chains be broken. Through victory, may our chains be broken. In the Republic starships that are heading back from Naboo, Anakin is sitting with his head bowed when Obi-Wan enters the room. "How are you feeling?" "Tired." "Me too. But we did it. We took back Naboo." "What were our casualties?" Obi-Wan pauses. 20,000 dead on the surface, another 5,000 in orbit. Plus all of the Gungans. "Yes, I heard. I'm sorry. This has to stop. Remember what Master Yoda said, the dark side feeds on war, and war feeds on all of us." And he's right. The most challenging state for a Jedi to be in is one of prolonged conflict. That's why I agree with the Chancellor. We should negotiate a truce with the Separatists. They keep their territory, we keep ours, but at least this fighting stops. If they honoured their side of the agreement, which I doubt they would, and even if they do, we're not just fighting the Separatists, we're fighting the dark side. They're led by a Sith, you remember? If we made a truce, that would create a pocket in the galaxy where the dark side can grow unchallenged and eventually come back maybe even stronger. Now we have to press on until the entire galaxy is wiped clean. And in the meantime, every living thing in the galaxy has to pay the price. Anakin, the dark side is like a raging fire. It's not enough to mostly extinguish it. Even if there's just a few sparks left, it can ignite again. We have to sacrifice today if we want to have it tomorrow. Obi-Wan looks at Anakin intently. How many of your men died? Anakin looks down at the floor. All of them. What? Yeah, like you said. I just hope it's worth it. The ship lands on Coruscant and Obi-Wan and Anakin step out. Obi-Wan is quickly approached by a few military types. He turns to Anakin, "Give my regards to your friends." "I will." They hustle Obi-Wan away into a secure room so he can make his report to the War Council, which includes the Jedi Council, a few military generals, Prince Valium, Chancellor Palpatine, and Count Dooku. Obi-Wan tells them everything that happened on Naboo, then plugs a gadget into one of the hologram projectors. Our tech officers were able to recover this from some of the Separatist consoles. Much of the information is gone, but what is left is disturbing. A hologram image of the Death Star appears. Everyone slowly rises. What in the name of the Force is that? From what we can tell, schematics for an orbital space station, but the station itself is just a shell for what would be the first ever hypermatter reactor. That's quite an assumption you're making there, Master Kenobi. Hypermatter reactors are purely theoretical. No one's ever succeeded in building one. Not yet, but if the Separatists have building plans for this, it would suggest they've either succeeded in building one or are close to succeeding. And I think we've all heard the stories of what a weaponized hypermatter reactor can do, especially one this size. Now hold on a minute. How do we even know that this is real? It could be some kind of bluff. A bluff? A ruse? A misdirect? To trick us into thinking that they're on the verge of building something like this. That's true, they could be making this up to scare us so that we don't launch a follow-up attack after Naboo. Or to provoke us into launching an attack prematurely, but either way, we would need to make sure this is credible before we consider altering our plans. Excuse me, Chancellor, but I would imagine that before anyone starts constructing a space station this size, they would need to get their hands on as much raw materials as they possibly could. And my spies in Alderaan have reported that over the last few weeks, the clones have been pillaging our resources day and night. They could be getting building materials together in preparation for this. Further investigation this does require. On the other side of the galaxy, Talon is training her saber fighting against a bunch of battle droids. Into the room walks Darth Maul. Very good. You've improved greatly. I just think of them as being that Jedi from Alderaan. Don't worry, your time will come. The dark side will deliver him to you, and then you will have your revenge. In the last movie, her and Obi-Wan had a fight, and she copped a serious thrashing. You heard about Naboo? Of course. By now the plans would have reached Coruscant. Do you think he believes it? That we're getting ready to build the Death Star without him? He'll want confirmation before he moves on it, but we should ready ourselves for our final battle with him. Do you think we can do it? Kill Sidious? Maybe, with great difficulty. But now that he's seen the plans, we're going to have to make a move before he does. I'm much better with the saber now, but against him? He doesn't even use a saber. I know, but we always knew it was going to come down to him or us. We have to ready ourselves nonetheless.